I'm going to intro us this time, if that's okay with you, Rick.
That's fine.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. Everybody who's normal is here. We don't have anybody new. I'm Craig.
I'm Rick.
Strawberry
I'm
penises.
E-House.
And again, Rich and E-House have interrupted each other in their intro.
I blame Rich.
It's always his fault.
That is why he will enjoy his heaping dose of strawberry penises tearing down his reality.
And nobody understands that.
Doesn't matter.
Let's just go right into our first topic. Woodland gear and gun accessory resurgence. So how about that? Woodland gear coming back.
Well,
Gross.
it's a good camo, so...
I love Woodland. The entire time that I airsofted, the only other camo I tried was, the only camo other than Woodland was Flecktarn, and that was a little too red for the forests up here. But yeah, HSGI and SB5 are trying to bring it back. What do you guys think about that?
I think camo gear is ugly.
Yeah, I think it has a place, but
I agree.
I prefer solid color.
Most of the time I will not use camouflage gear, mainly because I can't ever have something for longer than 3 weeks, because I usually sell it. And camo gear is very difficult to sell.
My only problem with using Woodland colored gear a few years ago was that it seemed like everybody had their own specific types of coloration for their Woodland. So some Woodland would be lighter color, some would be darker color, and it would just be too all over the place, so it wouldn't really match in the end. It would be the same pattern, but not the same colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Multicam has done a much better job of being universally colored.
Yeah, because Multicam actually got licensed. M81 was open source because it was a military discovery.
Yeah. But I gotta be honest with you, I'm glad M81 was coming back, if for no other reason than I don't understand why it ever went anywhere. And I don't think it ever really did.
It's because everybody thinks they can... Everybody thinks they can make something better, but it's really hard to make something better than that without it being impossible to use anywhere else.
Yeah, there is a technological advantage of using digital camouflage because, it blurs over a distance and it helps you actually blur into a background.
Yeah.
But honestly, that concept kind of works for anything with the human eye, because if you put brown, black, and green together and you put them further and further away, they will probably start going out of focus and start blending into the background. So it's not going to matter if they're pixelated or just blobs. So,
well, the other thing is the pixelation, to a certain extent, you can argue, actually almost makes it more blocky and jump out more at the eye in a certain way. Now, M81 Woodland, some colorations have a little too much black, in my opinion, but, my opinion counts for what you think it counts for, fucking beans, but still.
Well, the black is kind of needed because the black helps diffuse the green and brown into each other, and the tan as well.
That's true. That's true.
People will always point out, oh, well, black isn't a naturally occurring color in nature, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
it's like,
but
well,
I don't
that's
think they
why,
realize shadows are.
Ebony wood.
Well, I'm looking at the picture that B5 put up of there are two guys in their camo and they have their guns, and they're wearing black gloves, but the black gloves stand out a hell of a lot more than the black on their uniforms.
That's true.
So they serve a purpose on the uniforms, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, too, with M81 Woodland is just, I don't get the obsession with reinventing the wheel all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand people want to, come up with new things. They want to create the next hot ticket item, but I feel like the camouflage industry, because of the industries it targets, is very prone to fads.
Yeah, it's the whole reason that M81 kind of faded away, in my opinion, other than the technological advances per se of digital camo, is that it just kind of fell out of vogue. It was really old. People were seeing it in old combat photos and were like, we need something new to match our new AR-15s or whatever. So,
and now what's old is new again, because now everyone's like, we didn't really improve any. How about we just go back to what works and make it fucking cool?
It came back
Yeah.
because of the SEAL Team 6 Delta CIA agents.
Yeah, because the pictures finally started circulating, and they're still using Woodland because it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I wonder if this is marketed more toward civilians and airsofters then.
It probably is, because I know a lot of airsofters tend to use their stuff, especially HSGI,
Yeah.
as well as civilians who just do range stuff, especially since M81 is super cheap to pick up. Hey, look, it matches your super cheap surplus camo.
Yeah, in their article about their new B5's new actual accessories that are in Woodland, they're saying a whole bunch of stuff about how, the military still uses M81 even though it's old, blah, 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 blah. We're putting it on our Typhoon gear or whatever, and so
explain to me who E5 is, because I've actually never heard of or used them before. For
B5 systems.
B5 is the guys who actually make the crane stock.
Ah, okay.
That's who B5 is.
Yeah, they make the crane stock, the A2 grip, and then they have one of their forends in M82 as well, or M81, excuse me.
They made a forend in it.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
something you
forend.
don't see every day.
It's like a polymer key mod. It's kind of weird, but whatever.
That's
And I-
strange. You wouldn't think that would be easy to break.
It's probably
like,
water
if you hit it
transfer.
right.
Oh yeah, it's water transfer for sure. I think they actually say that in the article, but
Because
Yeah.
I don't usually think of polymer for holding my accessories.
yeah, I don't know if it's
What about the Magpul MOE forend? I mean, that's been
What
really
about
Those
it?
don't tend
popular.
to hold accessories, though. Your key mod is for holding accessories.
Well, yeah, but the Magpul MOE forend has the MOE rail sections and MOE accessories that you can get,
Well,
and
that's
a
true.
lot of people use those, and
That's
it
true.
seems to be pretty successful. Magpul seems to be making money on it. They're still making it.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that.
a big
most
selling
times when you
point for
see
the
MOEs.
B5. A big selling point for the B5 key mod is that it only costs $28.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus
So-
Christ.
Yeah, that's a big selling point.
That's gonna sell real well.
Yeah.
Good on
I mean,
them
hell,
for
even if
that
you
one.
buy it and just repaint it if you don't like the Woodland.
Even if you buy it and it breaks for some reason,
Well,
you're
they-
out $20 instead of $150 for a normal rail
150
system.
to like 450.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
That's-
key mod is available in normal coloring.
Oh, well, then,
it's just
yeah.
they're also doing this on their whatever furniture. So
Now, I want to return to Rick's point about this being marketed towards civilians and airsofters, and the weapon accessories are very obviously marketed towards civilians because I don't think the military has the freedom to choose what camo to put on their
Oh,
rifles
absolutely
and stuff
not.
like that.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely
yeah,
they
if
don't.
anyone SOF might, but
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
SOF might use it, and obviously whatever works for them because they're fucking SOF, they can do what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
But for the airsoft thing, though, like if you want to talk about a gear company that has embraced the airsoft market, you're going to end up talking about HSGI. So they have
They
definitely done some
absolutely-
market research with that.
They absolutely have, and they've absolutely looked into what people want civilian-wise as well. Their gray tacos, their pistol tacos, their single rifle tacos, actually have a setup for a belt instead of molly. For people who want to run them at the range or run their pistol tacos for their concealed carry. They absolutely have realized the market there for non-military purposes.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. I think the non-military market in the United States is probably as big as or bigger than the military market because so
yeah.
much
it's gotta be
military.
bigger.
Well, because the thing is, so much of the military gear is bulk surplus through defense contracts, and you can't really get that into the hands of every soldier. And there are millions of people who serve in the United States military in some capacity who all need gear, but you're really kind of limited to SOF and stuff like that when you are making.
You're limited to SOF or you're limited to accessories. normal grunts can't change out barrels. They can't change out rail systems. The most maybe would be a stock or a pistol grip. But even
Yeah,
then,
if it has to involve a tool, then typically they'd have to go to an armorer.
yeah.
So that being said, most bases have an armorer. So
Yeah.
that point about it being marketed to civilians because there are probably more civilians into firearms than just military. As of December 31st of last year, there were just over like 2.2 million or 2.1 million soldiers in the U.S. Armed Forces. So it's definitely more of a civilian sales.
And there's 80 to 90 million estimated gun owners in the United States.
Yeah.
So you've got,
I
like,
guarantee
45 to 1.
Yeah. And I think this being marketed toward law enforcement isn't even a question, because the entire time that I worked with law enforcement, they just used like solid black guns. That was it.
Yeah.
Maybe a flashlight or a Neotech somewhere, but not much else.
Yeah, I don't think too many law enforcement departments are worried about camouflage, but maybe I'm wrong.
Some county SWAT do use OD uniforms, and I've seen some use ACU and MARPAT, but that's about the extent that I've seen personally. So
Yeah.
So okay.
So Woodland is coming back, baby, and I think we're all at least neutral about it, but most of us are probably pretty happy about it.
I'm okay
Yeah.
with that. It's also going to give some people, because I know especially new airsofters, with, like I said, how cheap it is at surplus stores, it's going to give them an option for gear that maybe they wouldn't have all the time. Outside of you're just playing colors like Coyote Brown, Olive Drab, etc. It'll give them something to match their super cheap camouflage that they just picked up.
I mean, to be
Yeah, and
fair,
they won't have
they
to
probably
spray paint
won't
it
turn
on.
to HSGI first because tacos
absolutely,
are fucking
but,
expensive. But
I know
down the line, if they continue to like it and want to run green camo, because most national events use M81 as their standard green camo. So you're going to have the Milsim guys who are like, oh, well, I've got my M81 LBX 0094 or LBT 6094, and then I want to get some, M81 tacos and some M81 accessories for my guns. So you're definitely going to have a big airsoft market there. I'll probably pick some up at some point.
I always liked how Coyote Brown looks on M81, though.
Coyote Brown actually
true.
tends to go with just about everything.
Yeah, it does.
Green, tan, whatever.
Jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that dark brown color kind of works for everything.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So, yeah. But, yeah, so Woodland Gear's back. I think we're done with that topic. Is anyone else anything to say left on that?
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
good on that one.
All right. So, Haley Strategic announced a heavy version of the D3CR. E-House, you have a D3CR Lite. What do you think about it?
Well, I really fucking dig the D3CR Lite, as they're now calling it. I run it either as a standalone micro chest rig for, when I just want to have something light to throw on and take to a game, or I run it integrated onto my Mayflower APC, where it also serves its function excellently. So the fact that they are coming out with a heavy version for 7.62 rifle platforms is what one might call fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure with your Saiga, you're probably going to be getting one of those.
Actually, no, because the D3CR Lite fits my Saiga mags perfectly if I put some cardboard inserts in there.
There you go.
By 39 and 545, those mags aren't too terribly different than a 5.56, really.
Yeah, I suppose, because they're not
At least
much
with-
longer.
at
Yeah,
least
my
with
D3CR fits AK and M4 mid caps no problem at all. So that I've been using it for that a lot, which is probably part of the reason I like it so much, is that I can use it for both AK and M4 use
Yeah.
and real steel use.
So, yeah, since you have more experience with the D3CR than anyone here, what are the main differences you see between the light and the heavy? Because Travis shows it for like 5 seconds in the video, and he's like, see you later.
The big, which is also the coolest reveal, but I will we will talk about that more later. But the biggest difference is it has larger general purpose pouches and there is no Stuff It pouch on the front. Which I find kind of interesting because the Stuff It pouch is one of the much touted and honestly much liked features of the D3CR Lite. So the fact that they've foregone the Stuff It pouch, I'm guessing is either due to some user demand, because there were probably some people who didn't like the bungee pouch, or due to the way it would look structured on that chest rig. You know, you would have it kind of hanging off, and it might be weird.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other thing I'm thinking of is because I know Extreme Gear Labs collaborated with Haley Strategic for the D3CR Lite. I'm wondering if they didn't use Extreme Gear Labs for the D3CR Heavy.
Possibly. Something else that kind of pops out to me about the Stuff It pouch, like, and this might just be kind of dumb, but because it's a heavy version, maybe they're just thinking heavier equipment. You might be stuffing bullets in there, and they're going to be heavier than 223, so they might sag, and it might stretch out.
Well, the Stuff It pouch was meant to carry like a blowout kit. It could carry a tourniquet. It could carry a grenade. It could carry a smoke grenade. It could carry a lot of shit. I used it for airsoft use, for my Thunder Bee or for my Airsoft Innovations Tornado grenade, and it works very well as a grenade pouch. But I'm thinking because it's the heavy rifle rig, they're maybe thinking you'll put more stuff in the larger right side utility pouch, and because you have so much more space in the utility pouches, they're not thinking there's much point in a Stuff It pouch. But I don't know.
Yeah, and it looks like there's 2 utility pouches, doesn't it? Looks like there's one on the left and then a huge one on the right.
Yeah, well, and on the normal D3CR, there are 2 relatively small utility pouches, one on each side, and they're about perfectly sized for a mini blowout kit. And I have, call me a tryhard or whatever, I have a mini blowout kit in my cell phone on the right side of my D3CR usually, just because, shit happens sometimes. We had someone get a nail through their leg at Hunter's Creek once, and God forbid someone impales himself on a tree branch, so you better have some med kit on you. And then I'll have my cell phone in that pocket, and then I keep just a bag of BBs in the other.
Yeah, something else that's interesting about the Stuff It pouch, it looks like another popular use for it is to shove a in the waistband holster in it and use it as a pistol holster on your rig.
Yeah, and then they came out with the expansion series where they have a pistol wedge, because initially the G-Code INCOG holsters were designed to fit into the general purpose pouches on the D3CR. Then they expanded the general purpose pouches in response to people wanting them to be a little bigger, and they came out with a holster wedge that you can Velcro onto the back, where you would usually integrate it with a plate carrier if that's what you were using it for.
That's nice. That's neat to know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually considered getting one of those holster wedges and, getting a Blade Tech holster and just having that option of being like, hey, I could just stuff whatever holster in here and, keep my gun there, because I liked doing that with my Tactical Tailor Mav, and now I would have that option with my micro chest rig.
Speaking of holsters, my G-Code Haley Strategic INCOG came in the mail today.
Nice.
It's I really like it. For whatever reason, I didn't like ties as much, but I actually really like it with mine. So I don't know if I was just doing it wrong or what, but it's really cool.
It's good that you like the one you actually have.
Yeah.
Well, and is it for the same gun?
Yeah. Because G-Code doesn't actually make a holster for both of ours, because him with the FNX and me with my USP, they don't actually make those specifically. So we both use the XD holsters.
And those work?
Yes.
So maybe that's why you didn't like it, because the retention system for the XD grabbed the FNX way differently than it grabs the USP.
I just think I was actually carrying it wrong, because it felt odd where I was carrying it, but I've since switched how I carry, and it actually works pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, then the logical answer is you suck.
Yeah, that's always the logical answer. Just go with it.
That is the very quick answer.
Yeah. So back to the D3CR Heavy. What I'm curious about with it is it looks to be a bit wider than the normal D3CR. So I'm wondering if if you'll have to swap out where you have your Swift clips on your plate carrier if you want to swap out to the heavy setup.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Maybe I'll have to experiment with that if I get your GNP M14 up and running.
Yeah.
Still
What's
haven't
wrong
got that
with
up and running?
Well, it's working, but it chronos and doesn't hop very well because the hop-up unit that you put in there, the SEMA hop-up unit, does not like the GNP body.
Huh.
So,
That sucks.
So yeah, I just gotta fuck with it. Whatever.
Yeah, I could probably find a GMP one on eBay or some shit like that. But
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, but I've been fucking lazy and I'm spending all my money on knives and fucking E&L AKs.
Speaking of our little segue into Airsoft, you guys want to talk about gear elitism. I can't say that word today. Elitism in Airsoft. How about that?
Yeah. Well, this comes up because today I had a couple guys giving me shit because I wore jeans to play Airsoft. They're like, oh, bro, nice jeans. And I'm like, excuse me? And it's like, what, you think because you wear 5'11s you're fucking operator? Do you even fucking operate, bro?
Yeah, I've run into that too. People will ask, "Are your pants?" Because I have some pants that are like the cry ones for my fleck, and I have people ask, "Are those legit cry all the time?" Like, there's no other way for it to be than legit cry. It has to be legit cry. And
Yeah.
it drives me nuts.
Something cool about the Airsoft scene up here in Washington is that people really don't give a fuck what gear you use as long as you blend in and you're not, like, making your teammates really easy to spot.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Let me put it this way. Most people here don't give a shit, but every now and then you get someone, like, giving you shit, and you're like, come on, bro, really?
Yeah.
And I think it's worse on forums than locally anywhere. Forums are fucking horrible.
Because
Forums are the worst part of Airsoft, honestly.
Yeah.
I will
they are,
admit
and
that
Hold on, Rich is here.
Yeah. If you guys won't
Wow.
shut up, you can't say anything.
Use the fucking
Gotta be-
period system.
it's called a mic.
I will admit that I'm a gear elitist, but only in my head. I don't like make it known to people around me, but I hate some of the things people do with their gear.
Well, what do you mean?
Let's see, tack vests, anything black, except for like holsters and stuff like that. I don't know, people who just wear dumb stuff. I don't know.
Honestly, some of the most skilled airsofters I've ever known would normally just go to games in, like, jeans and a blue t-shirt, and then they'd have a black cross draw on. It's like, it doesn't equate to how good you are in the field at all. So that kind of lends itself more toward up here, where, like I said, we don't really care.
It's really weird, because a lot of times I've noticed gear lends itself to a feeling, like, it seems like the gear fulfills stereotypes pretty easily. I've found that most multicam wearers are super tryhards. And I've found that most people wearing just normal gear as, like, the coolest, sometimes pretty good players. Like, I don't understand what it is. It's like they feel like they have to fulfill the stereotypes for their specific gear.
Well, it's just like with any other, like, fashion style, you know? Certain fashion styles appeal to specific types of people. It's no different in Airsoft.
I refuse to buy multicam because I'm afraid it will transform me into a major doucher. That's why I wear Woodland and tan, because I know I'm just that cool.
It wouldn't transform you. You're already there.
Oh, snap.
Snippety snap.
Shots fired.
I really like the black multicam color. I forget what that's called, but it looks really cool. I just can never imagine
literally
myself
called
Yeah,
multicam.
multicam black.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm used to Cryptex camo names like Mandrake and shit and Highlander, so
I think
I'm
Typhon
expecting
is
something
the
more.
black Cryptek.
Yeah, Typhoon.
Yeah, Typhoon. There's another one. It's like a gray. It's not the white snow, but it's like a gray urban one.
It's Cryptech, go fuck yourself.
Pretty much. You'll never have this.
Okay, so there's. I'm just gonna list them all in order of, like, whatever how I see them. So Nomad is the desert one. Highlander is like the kind of in between desert and woodland one. Mandrake is the woodland one. Yeti is the snow one. Raid is the slightly darker snow one, and then Typhon, I guess.
Yeah, Typhon
is. That's weird. Typhon, whatever, is the black like SWAT one. So, but yeah, I want to get some Mandrake if anything. Honestly, Mandrake looks really cool to me.
Yeah. Well, returning to gear elitism. Now, Rich, I kind of understand where you're coming from. Like, sometimes you look at what people buy and what they do, and you're just kind of like, just why? Why did you do that? Like, what went through your head to say this is what you should do?
Let me clarify this real quick. I can understand if you're new to the sport and you're just picking up like cheap stuff to play with. I can understand that. That's fine. But if you have like a $400 gun, you know, and like mommy and daddy is buying all this stuff for you, and then you put on this black cross draw and you're running like an OE Tech drop leg, and you have a shotgun scabbard on your back, and you're wearing like 1,000 patches.
Here's where I disagree with that. I mean, I guess I won't say disagree. I personally feel like I would rather have a good gun and not the greatest gear than insane gear and not a good gun. Because, I mean, I know Airsoft is a fashion show and all, but I really do not feel like that should be the thing.
Yeah, well,
people have this really big form over function kind of divide in Airsoft that's always bugged me. It's like if you wear like this shitty Walmart grade tactical gear and you use a crappy gun, but you're killing the shit out of the other team and your team is constantly winning objectives, you're probably fine. But people will change up those loadouts to be using multicam or Cryptech or something like that. And then they start to notice their loadout's not working as well because while it's high-end gear, it doesn't fit their needs as well. They'll switch to a high-end gun, which in itself inherently comes with all the problems of maintaining a high-end gun. And it's just, you know, so unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, here's where I'm going to contradict myself a little bit. I think you should only wear the gear that serves a purpose. Like, you shouldn't have anything on your person that you're not going to use, because I think that's dumb. But
Agreed.
At the same time, for me, I want it to look nice.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I think there's a difference between wanting it to look nice and wanting people to think it looks cool. I think wanting it to look nice is perfectly fine, but it's like, do you really think people care that much about what you're wearing that you're going to go to an Airsoft game wearing like $2,000 worth of tactical gear and people are going to be like, nice gear, bro, haha, Crytek. So,
yeah.
It's just...
Hey, Craig, if I get a picture of that one kid with all the gear, will you put it in the video?
Sure, but I don't know.
Okay, that's a picture that... Craig, this is the kid who has 2 drop legs, if I recall correctly. He has a grenade launcher, a shotgun, an AEG. Am I listing this correctly? I don't fucking remember, but just absurd amounts of shit. And the best part is, it's absurd amounts of shitty shit. Like, you could have skimped on having that much shit and gotten better shit.
Yeah, and it's probably too heavy. Like, the most amount of guns I've ever carried was the last time I went airsofting. I had the F2000, I had a tri-shot, which weighs fucking nothing, attached to my backpack, and then I had a pistol. So.
Yeah. But.
That tri-gun, bro.
Well, and I'm going to say, regarding gear elitism, I found it funny that this dude was giving me shit about wearing fucking jeans to Airsoft when I've got a goddamn Mayflower APC with a Haley strategic rig clipped to it. And this dude's got a repro JPC. I'm like, do you really have a leg to stand on, sir?
That's just Airsoft in general, man. Like, Airsofters just, they tend to think they're so badass when all they're doing is, going to the woods and shooting BBs at their friends.
Exactly.
With guns. So
now I'm not the kind of guy who's like, oh, repro JPC, you're so gay, ha ha ha.
Yeah, but when you're poking at other people's gear, it's like, you are wearing repro gear. Why are you giving me shit for wearing jeans?
Yeah. Now, to be fair, the thing is, I have and I like nice gear. Like I have an HSGI Woosatch, I have my Mayflower APC, I have my Tactical Taylor Mav, I have my Haley Strategic Rig, and I like all of that gear. But I will be the first person to say, you do not need to spend a fraction of what I spent to get perfectly usable airsoft gear that doesn't look like shit.
Yeah, you don't. Like, you at least have the excuse of you own real guns, so it has kind of a cross purpose. You can use it for...
Not really. I use it for airsoft mostly. I just acknowledge that gear is kind of a hobby within itself to a certain degree, and I have the money for it, and if anyone wants to give me shit about it, this is America, go fuck yourself.
Well,
Fairly accurate there.
Just saying.
So, okay, I think we've pretty thoroughly covered gear elitism in airsoft.
Yeah.
So, after that, we want to talk about goggle choice in airsoft. So I will start off with the most controversial one. I prefer corrugated steel mesh goggles. Because if you wear anything else up here, they're going to fog like a motherfucker.
Buy a fan.
I tried.
$40
Built
fan.
one, and I tried, and it didn't work. So...
I absolutely agree, because here's a lot of the same way. Everything fogs. Yeah, especially today, I threw on my schmog. I actually had it wrapped like it's supposed to be, and I was fogging like crazy. But a lot of that is just moisture. It was pretty bad today, pretty humid because it was kind of raining a little bit.
I'm fat and I sweat, so...
Yeah,
That's what does it.
I always joke that I should be the fucking industry standard for testing whether or not something is fog-proof, because every fucking goggle I have ever used that claims to be fog-proof has fogged on me. Every fucking one.
And the thing is, like, I'll fog-proof something before I go to a game or whatever. Like, I'll do the spit trick or I'll do shampoo or something like that. And that works when you're testing it and you're just going up on the lens to see if it works. But then when I go in airsoft, I'll be sitting there for 5 minutes and I'll be like, everything is foggy now. So it's just, I never find something that actually works with plastic lens goggles.
The best, so far the best I've had are my Profile NVG ESSs. For whatever reason, they seem to hold up the best to versus fogging. I put a little bit of anti-fog in them, and suddenly, no issues.
And I guess I can say, like, I've never tried actual anti-fog, but it's just, I'm not about to pay like $8 for a bottle of spray anti-fog shit when my mesh goggles work.
Yeah.
So
Cat crap. Cat crap is the only anti-fog product I've had good luck with. And,
the only issue I can really see that would be a problem with mesh goggles is what if a BB hits it, shatters, and goes and continues through. I know a lot of times it's just going to ricochet off, and even if it does shatter, it will still ricochet off. But there is that chance of, whoops. Now what are you going to do?
You know, I hear that concern all the time, but I also see pictures of people running around with boogie regulators that have vent holes big enough for BBs to pop through them, and it's like, that concern can exist with pretty much any goggle unless it's absolutely full seal and air cannot get into it.
I have...
So, and it happens so minimally and never that it just doesn't seem like an issue to me. When I get shot, it's rarely in the face.
I have one pair of mesh goggles.
Well, you're lucky in that fact. I get
I also always wear a
occurrence
baseball hat.
that I always get shot in the face.
Continue, Rich.
Thank you.
So.
I have one pair of mesh goggles that I bought to try out in regards to this shattering thing. I shot at point blank about 380-ish FPS with .2s, and the BB didn't shatter or anything, but on the backside of the mesh, the paint that was on it flaked off, and I would assume that would fly into your eye and be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, if you get the like cheap $10 ones, they do that. If you get the ones from Bitter End, who's actually a maker up here in Washington who makes them because of how big of a problem it is up here, it's the actual color of the steel as opposed to paint, so it doesn't chip off. What I've heard of people doing to kind of counteract what you're talking about is they'll actually sand all the paint off of the mesh before they actually use them, make sure they clean all the lead-based shit off of it too, so they don't have that problem. But
Yeah.
it is possible.
My issue with mesh is that I'm paranoid, and my eyesight is bad enough already, so I don't need that bullshit. And a lot of events don't allow mesh, so in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm not comfortable with it. A lot of events don't allow it. I would never run mesh, and I would never recommend someone run mesh. Just for my uses and from what I've seen from, personal experience admitting a field and from shit that's happened when people have gotten shot in the face with mesh goggles, I've just been like, you know what? I can't in good conscience say that, oh yeah, you should totally buy these. I mean, if you want to run them, that's your choice. You can assume whatever risk, but I wouldn't do it.
I should also mention that I've always kind of played fast and loose with airsoft safety. I used to just use shooting glasses. So
the closest to shooting glasses I've ever found that I would really trust for airsoft was actually a pair of goggles that I bought today, is the Vulcan Zulu goggles. And they're basically just shooting glasses with a foam seal around them and a band connecting the tabs on the ends. And I used those today, and they have dual thermal lenses, and they actually worked pretty fucking awesomely. I didn't have any fog.
So there's something I want to try. I have a couple of military friends, and Oakley does discounts for military people. One of them offered to actually let me use his discount. He would just order the stuff for me. But everybody uses the M-frame Oakley glasses with the Helo kit. There's actually about 4 pairs of glasses that have a Helo kit for them, not just the M frames. I actually really kind of want to get some of the other ones, a pair of the other ones, and use those instead. So I need to look into that. I just haven't been lazy like everything else in my life.
I know. Continue.
I was going to say, M-frames with Helo kits are super popular at Broken Home this year.
They're super popular because they're the closest thing to shooting glasses, and the closest thing to be able to not have to worry about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not very concerned about it, I guess, because I've never experienced anything bad with it. But I'm sure if I knew somebody who got shot in the eye or something, I'd probably be more concerned. But
I have a weird tendency where I tend to get hit in the goggle at least once every couple of games. And every time it happens, I'm just like, man, I'm glad my goggles held up.
Yeah.
You know, the few times, like, over the past few years where I've had BBs come anywhere near my face, I always wear a baseball hat when I airsoft because I tend to look down at my footing a lot because I only play in the woods, and we normally play in really shitty woods that don't have paths. So you kind of have to watch your footing. Whenever I get shot anywhere near the face, it's always when I'm looking down at my feet, because I always hear them tick off the bill of my hat. So
I have
they
no
never get
such
anywhere
luck.
near my goggles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no,
like I said, I I tend to get shot in the face at least once. So much so that everybody has asked me at least once, why do you not have a mesh lower face mouse?
Face guard.
Face
guard.
guard for my mouth. I'm exhausted. But anyway.
Face mouth for my guard?
Yes.
What?
Face off. But
I want to
yeah.
take his face off.
God, I love that movie.
Anyway. If you even remember what you were saying.
But yeah, people ask me about doing that all the time, and I tried it, I bought one, it's just not for me. I'm just gonna actually end up just chancing it, and I know someday in the future I'm going to get shot in the face. I'm going to get a tooth chipped or shot out or something. I know
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
I avoid concerns like that by keeping my mouth closed when I airsoft.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
people
when you're
have trouble
huffing
with
and
that.
puffing from sprinting across the field, it's a little hard to keep your mouth closed.
I was gonna say, if I have any concerns, it's gonna be getting shot in the mouth. So I constantly make sure my mouth is closed, and if I talk, I look away from where there's shooting happening, or I look into
Yeah.
my gun, or I cover my mouth or something. But I make sure my mouth is not exposed when it's open.
Honestly, I do the same exact thing. Like if I have to like breathe really hard or something like that because I've been hauling ass, I'll like kind of just breathe out of the corner of my mouth or something, and then if I have to talk to
What's
somebody,
up?
I'll make it quick and short, like you're kind of supposed to. So.
Yeah.
From a cleanup perspective,
I'll work on it tomorrow.
E-House is another visitor.
I don't like looking down these stairs and seeing this disaster.
All right. All right, we'll have to cut that part.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so anyone got any other
well,
Goggle talk?
regarding mesh lower masks, I use one when it's required at the field. Sometimes they are required. Buffalo Battleground is one of my local fields and requires them because they're an indoor facility. And then Penn Yan Airsoft is an outdoor field, but they require them too because of their insurance. And personally, I don't like running a mesh face mask, but I will do it when it's necessary. So I'm the kind of guy where I get shot in the face a lot. I'm a big doofy idiot. I have my mouth open a lot. Whatever, I accept it. It's a risk I take.
Yeah.
I have gotten shot inside the mouth once. I had a BB, like I turned a corner and someone, just lets off like a quick burst, probably from like 25 feet away. And they just let off a quick burst of 3 shots and they just like walked up my chest to like just below my chin. And then one went directly into my open mouth, hit my tongue, ricocheted off my tongue, hit the roof of my mouth, and then I ended up spitting it out.
That sucks ass, dude.
Nice.
No, I don't think you understand. The guy who shot me, he was so confused because I started laughing immediately because I thought it was hilarious. And he's like so confused. He sees me spit out a BB. I'm like, dude, you shot my tongue. And he's like, oh my God, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, that's fucking hilarious. And he's like,
Blood just starts dribbling out of your mouth. It's like, oops.
I was seriously spitting out blood for like 15 minutes just because my tongue was fucking bleeding, man.
Yeah.
But I thought it was hilarious. I don't know. Maybe I'm sick.
I've gotten shot all over the mouth and nose area, but I've never actually got a tooth like chipped or anything.
Years ago, when I first started playing, my uncle played with me, and he
Hello now.
took. Yeah, my uncle and I played together in the woods. He
Shot white stuff at each other.
Yeah. He took a load to the face.
Jesus Christ.
No.
Can we even use
Phrasing!
That was intentional.
But no,
That's
he
what she said.
somebody blind fired around a corner, and he took some BBs to the face, and one got embedded in his chin, and I had to pop it out for him.
I have gotten a BB embedded in my arm before.
So have
I
I.
ran up on somebody with a sniper rifle, and he was like, "Ugh!" and he spun around and shot me like almost point blank.
360 no scope.
Yeah, and it was stuck in my arm. I had to pop it out like a zit. It was like in my upper arm, right outside my armpit, that like soft skin there. So it was just like, it was weird.
Sounds kinky.
No, it wasn't. I was not at even half mast. But talking about half mast, so the Socom Gear Keltec PLR 16 sucks. Why does it suck?
My half mast has gone down to negative mast at the mention of the Socom Gear PLR 16.
Indeed. It's made by WE and takes WE mags, and Socom Gear decided to contract out WE to make the one form of PLR 16 that absolutely nobody wants. The one without a stock, the one with the short barrel, and no rails.
So basically,
Why?
they contracted them to make the variant of a gun that nobody wants as compared to the variants of that gun that, like, 2 people want?
You know,
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of people want a PLR-16 because back in the day, they were like $300 or $400, and you could basically build them up the same as an AR-15. You could get a 7.62 kit for them and everything, but then Nut and Fancy started doing videos on them, and then their price exploded, and now you're lucky to find one for $700 or $800. So
basically now, why would you ever buy one for any reason ever?
because you're a tool bag, that is why you would buy one now. Because you saw a Nut and Fancy video on it and went, I want one of those. And you're like, it's $800. Well, an AR's got to be more expensive than that. So, I don't know. It's dumb. But, yeah, it looks gross. I don't want it. You guys don't want it either, do you?
Yeah, and that is part of our new category of shit we don't want.
Oh, God.
It's got a theme song or something. I don't know. But, okay. Something else we don't want. The Aries Honey Badger, because it's made by Aries.
Well, yeah, that's as far as you need to go with that one.
Well, okay.
It's
Let's
made
not
by Aries.
let's not even stop there. Let's continue on this little odyssey of why you would never, ever, ever want to pay almost $300 fucking dollars for a polymer-bodied fucking Aries.
Polymer isn't even the main turnoff. It's the internals for me because they use that weird-ass gearbox and their wiring sucks. When I upgrade an airsoft gun, the wiring is one of the things I want to keep in there.
Hold on. Their wiring sucks? That's your biggest complaint? Their wiring?
One of them,
Yeah.
their wiring and their gearbox suck.
Well, I was just going to say, we'll just leave it at the whole gearbox, but
yeah.
Let me put it
if
this
we want
way.
to get into specifics,
As a former owner of an Aries M60, I have a special vendetta against Aries to the point where if I could afford the plane ticket, like if I won the lottery, I would probably fly out to the Aries headquarters, kidnap every member of the R&D team who worked on the M60, fly them to a private island, and force them to murder each other. And then the winner gets to get murdered by me.
Damn, dude.
Just saying.
Yeah, so clearly no one here wants an Aries Honey Badger. I want a Honey Badger, but I don't want it from Aries.
nobody wants anything from Aries. Except for maybe
Yeah.
Ty with his stupid
Tell you
Aries.
what, get the VFC
PTS.
416D or get the Crytek Trident PDW.
That's what I wanna
Change the
do.
front end, and then you have a much better Honey Badger.
Yeah, when we were talking about it earlier, I was putting together a wish list on Airsoft GI to make a Honey Badger off of one of those Tridents. So it's going to be around $500, but it's going to be awesome. So I'll do that someday, maybe. Probably not.
Fair enough.
I'll make it someday and sell it a month later because I realize I don't like airsofting anymore.
Yeah. You know, because you've
Okay.
already tried that about 8 times now.
It's that fucking field, it's too far away. So
Pussy.
okay, so for guns that we do want, Tokyo Marui HK417 Real Shock. That's
Yeah,
a thing.
Fuck
that
yeah.
got announced today, actually. It showed up in at a random website for pre-order, and then somebody noticed that it was actually on Marui's website as well now. Which, that's really cool. It's cool that that people are starting to get these different guns. Originally, it was just the VFC that could be had, but Marui has obviously seen that lots of people want the 417, and they've translated that into one of their better selling AEG style formats.
Yeah, aren't their Real Shocks like really good performers too?
Their Real Shocks are fantastic. I've actually gotten to mess around with a G36 Real Shock, and it was pretty awesome. The G36 probably isn't the best example of it, as it still uses the Marui creaky, not that great plastic, but then again, the G36 is plastic anyway. I'm sure the M4s, the 416, the now 417, the Scars, the AKs, I'm sure those are all much better.
My only problem with those is that I've heard that the Tokyo Marui RealShock M4 still just uses a crappy pot metal receiver.
If I recall correctly, it's actually aluminum.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure they
I think
changed
the
it.
last I read, they use aluminum now.
Well, that's definitely good because spending $700-800 on a RealShock to get a fucking pot metal receiver wouldn't fly.
Yeah, I mean, I
No,
gotta be honest
I
with you.
absolutely
If I were to
agree.
get an EBB, the only EBB rifles I would consider are the Marui RealShocks.
I would, just for shits and giggles, I would buy that Element Tremors kit, put that in the stock of some like AGM M4, or actually no, in the stock of a combat machine.
Those things are not good at all.
No, they're not. They fucking rely on your piston to push them back.
Yeah, that's a bit of
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, they're garbage, but you know, just for like the first 500 rounds, it'd be cool, and then it would break. But
Yeah.
I think when it comes to blowback, I think Daytona Gun has to take the cake on that one.
yeah,
I absolutely loved my DG AK, and I absolutely love using my buddy's DG 249. I think I'm gonna probably pick up another WE Scar L, since I've already done this 3 times now. And actually, this time might actually put a DG kit into it.
will they not DG like a VFC or something?
No, because even though the WE is very, very, very close to it, the trigger module, as it's called, which is just basically the low receiver, is not good for the trigger group of a DG. Speaking of the VFC,
Yeah, I guess the WE, like, they actually have a little box of sears where the whole trigger
Yeah.
group sits
Yep.
in, so it's probably easier to work with. Probably don't even have to modify that to make the rest of it.
yeah,
At least
exactly.
not much. So.
Yeah, it's fairly drop in, actually.
Yeah. So
If I were to get a GBB, I would want a GHK AK because LCT OEM externals on a gas blowback AK makes my dick hard.
it would be cool if you replaced everything on the inside with RA Tech parts.
Yes, and I've accepted that that would probably be a cost of it.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just gonna auto consume like the WAPDW did.
I know, and that's why I still don't own a GBBR.
I doubt Schwell's ever going to listen to this, but I still feel bad about trading him a PDW where the bolt was starting to explode for ICS guns. But then again, the ICS guns didn't work either, so whatever. So
It's all even.
yeah, one more gun on the list of things that at least I want is the VFC Burnt Bronze HK416.
Burnt bras? Why would you ever
Burnt
burn
bras.
bras?
Well,
Why not?
Because you don't want to see
Free the boobies, man.
bras. Exactly.
But yeah, I loved the LWRC, their piston-driven M4 that Classic Army made, that burnt bronze color, but it
Is the VFC one
never-
burnt bronze, or is it that nasty 4-color gold thing?
looks
their M27.
burnt bronze.
I'm
It looks
pretty
like it's
sure
burnt bronze,
it's
but-
just like their M27, because they just came out with a burnt bronze 416 as well.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, they have a burnt bronze 417.
Oh, well, I was looking at the one on Airsoft GI earlier. I'll pull it up right now, but it just looks burnt bronze with black accessories. Like I was saying, it looks like a chocolate chip cookie. And then E-House was like, it looks like a burned cookie. And I was like, fuck yourself. What's wrong with you? So
It does look like a burnt cookie. Good chocolate chip cookies should not be that color of bronze. There's a very particular color you need to aim for with your chocolate chip cookies. They need to be cooked to the point where they are firm, but just above raw, because then they're nice and chewy, and if you don't like chewy cookies, you're fucking wrong.
I absolutely agree.
okay, so
now I
here
want those
is that.
cookies. Fuck you.
Here's that 416. To me, that looks like burnt bronze.
Yeah, it looks
But-
pretty fucking sexy to me. The buffer tube looks a little weird.
I think
but
that's
maybe it's
just
just
the lighting.
That-
yeah.
Yeah, no, because
That
if
is
you zoom
weird.
on it, it looks good.
That absolutely is bronze.
Yeah.
Huh.
But the IAR like was bronze and like pale yellow, wasn't it?
The IAR was 4 different colors of yellow.
Yeah, it was pretty
it was
fugly.
so bad. So I wonder if they actually learned from that and came with something else.
I'm looking at the IAR right now. What the fuck?
Yeah.
The grip, stock, and body and rail kit and buffer tube are all different shades.
Yep.
That's so bad. Whatever. Well, at least they didn't fuck up that 416. That would be
Yeah,
cool to get, and then
that
put that
416
Woodland
looks
shit on.
good.
The Woodland B5 accessories. That would be shut your mouth. That'd be cool. That would be amazing. I would do that. I would do that. I would have the best looking 416 ever.
But bro, it's not an impression of Mark Owen's 416 from No Easy Day. Her.
What even are you saying?
Never mind.
Okay, so are there any other guns that have come out recently that people are excited for?
Marui announced their USP Compact, which, yeah, 10 years past the competition, blah, 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 blah. I am absolutely excited for it.
TM doesn't operate on a competitive schedule at all.
Yeah.
And it will absolutely be better than...
Well, who are they
all
competing
the
with? KWA?
Yes.
That's like arm wrestling a midget.
That is the best
Tokyo
description.
Marui manufactures for the Japanese airsoft market, so
Well,
they're
I
not going to make a
understand that.
gun unless the market there is absolutely pining for a certain type of gun.
Oh, I agree.
So,
But I'm just saying, people are all like, "Oh, it's not competing with the the KWA because it's been out for so long. That's not a market you
it's
want
not
to get
competing
into."
with the KWA because the KWA sucks cock.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't say it's competing with the KWA because of the time frame. I'd say it's not competing with the KWA because the KWA already lost before it even came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And KWA fanboys, all you want, their gas guns are not good.
Their
They're-
AEGs aren't even good anymore.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. I've owned quite a few KWA gas blowback pistols, and some of their rifles. Their gas blowback rifles, the SMGs, like the MP7, and I've shot a few of the MP9s and stuff. They are not good at all.
Yeah. I remember, really quick, I want to tell a story about back in the day when I was reviewing KWA CQBR on Airsoft Barracks, which is a website that doesn't exist anymore. And I said somewhere in the review that the inside of the magwell made the gun look like it had been spray painted. Like it had been spray painted instead of paint dipped.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain person that we know who used to work at KWA but now works elsewhere, let's keep that ambiguous, he was telling me like, oh no, they're all paint dipped, you're stupid, your review's wrong. And then now that he doesn't work at KWA, a couple weeks ago he went, oh yeah, they're all just spray painted.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, why?
Well, you got to rep the company. I mean, come on.
You absolutely do.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. It was still really annoying because it was quite clearly spray painted, but he was commenting on the review saying, no, it's paint dipped, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to keep your job. He's obviously not gonna be like, yeah, you're right, they're spray painted, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but
Listen,
whatever.
this
At
is
least
KWA, where they cut corners at every turn and try to pass it off as performance enhancing.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're plastic barrels.
Yeah, the plastic outer barrel for performance. Not a holdover from KSC at all.
Yeah, never mind that we actually have the plastic outer barrel so that we could sell you back the metal outer barrel because, I guess it doesn't affect performance after all. We're going to do you a favor and sell it
plastic
separately.
barrels in their pistols, I absolutely find that annoying. I was absolutely expecting a full metal pistol with my Mark 23.
Full metal barrel. Yeah.
Well, full metal pistol with my USP tack, and my Mark 23. But no, plastic barrel, plastic threading,
And the plastic threading is shittily glued into the plastic barrel, not even just part of it.
yeah.
Well, when I owned, I've owned like I think, okay, it was two. I've owned two KSC P226s, which for anyone listening, those are the base of the KWA M226.
And if you want to argue, you're fucking wrong.
Yes, you are. But they also have plastic barrels. Now, the plastic barrels are workable when the orange tip is a piece of plastic that's crappily attached to the end. You can break it off with your hand. They are not workable when eHobby has dipped the outer barrel in blaze orange paint. And you have to scrape into the plastic on the barrel to remove it. And you can't use solvents because it melts the barrel. That sucked. I had to do that twice. Once with each one. It was just horrible.
To be
fuck up
fair,
the outer barrel on them.
the KWA 226 was the only KWA gas blowback gun that actually worked properly for a long time for me.
I had a lot of problems with them.
To be the fucking
And you were the
decocker
one who's
and
like,
the trigger
oh no,
were
it's
weird.
so good.
No, the quality of the KSC P226 is amazing. The frame feels like a real P226. The slide has shit paint and has a plastic outer barrel, but the frame and the grips feel identical to the real thing. The problem with that pistol lies in the hammer. The whole hammer group, all those sears, they are designed so poorly. There's like 400 parts in them, and there's a spring that if you take it out, you can never put it back in the right way. Because it's just like a 90-degree spring, and it has to sit on a pin and apply its purpose is to make sure the hammer doesn't go too far forward. Why is there a spring that does that? Why is that not a pin?
Yeah.
It's so poorly designed, but that's how both my P226s died, because the hammer got gummed up. I had to disassemble it to clean it, and I couldn't put it back together right. With one of them, I ended up selling it to Alex
Me?
or Zan or whatever he likes to call him.
Oh,
I
yeah.
sold it to you?
You sold it to
No,
him.
he sold it to you.
him, and then he sold it to me.
Yeah, that was
Seriously?
the first
That's
one
hilarious.
that was malfunctioning, and he thought he could fix it, and he couldn't. The second one, I ended up doing the same exact thing to it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this to the range and shoot it. So I did.
Not in
I
the
filmed it in
way
slow
that
motion.
sounds like.
I filmed it in slow motion, and it was amazing. Bullets were like flying off of it and stuff, and it exploded on one of the hits. But yeah, so
That is fantastic, actually.
so any other guns in that category to talk about?
Of good or bad?
Either way.
Well,
Because we have other topics to move on.
good,
to.
bad, and sad, I guess, to say. My SVD decided to kill itself today for something. It
Your
will
real
not.
sword?
Yeah, it
Did it
will
leave a
not
note?
fire. No, it left no
I'm a
suicide note or
horrible
anything.
person.
It was working, and then all of a sudden, it decided it did not want to function anymore.
Like it won't shoot,
Yeah,
or
it
does the gearbox like feel like it's locked up?
I need to check it out. I need to see if a motor tab fell off or something, because it's not even giving power to the motor. The trigger is clicking like there's no battery plugged in, and
Oh.
it's just not doing anything.
Wiring might have gotten pinched somewhere, but I don't know. Do you tech your guns, or do you have a friend who does it for you?
I tech them usually.
Okay, well, there you go. I know E-House is a punk bitch, and he doesn't tech his own guns, so it's
What?
hard to
Hold
talk to him
on,
about this
hold
kind of
on,
stuff.
hold on.
What?
What are you
E-House
talking
tech his.
about?
Who?
You've said in the past that you don't tech your
Check your
guns, like you don't do
privilege, sir.
wiring and stuff.
No, I don't do wiring, but I do like everything else
Check.
basically.
Check
Yeah,
your
so you don't tech.
privilege. Oh,
I'm afraid of wires. I'm E-House.
Dude, like I do basic wiring. Like if I need to convert to Deans, I'll do that. But sometimes, like if I really need to do some complex shit, I'll just be like, fuck it. I'm not patient enough for this bullshit.
That MOSFET that I put in the M14 would give you nightmares.
Yeah, like I don't do MOSFETs.
I
I'm too
don't
fucking
consider
lazy.
wiring tech work. I consider that
That's
like
tech work.
special wiring like that. Like if you can put a trigger group in and just feed the wiring through or solder wires, that's fine. I don't think
Like I can,
making
I can
your
do
own-
basic shit like that. Like okay, trigger contacts burned out. I can drop in a new set, whatever. But when you want me to, like, wire in a MOSFET or, convert
Make your
from
own
front to back, I
MOSFET?
can do that. But, like, if you want me to add on more wiring, if you want me to, do custom connectors other than Dean's, basically, then I'm just like, no, just go to someone who fucking does this for a living.
Well, Rick keeps saying this in the background. I'm not talking about making your own MOSFET. I'm talking about installing one.
Yeah,
making
no.
your own MOSFET is an entirely different thing that I don't consider part of teching Airsoft because it's not. So.
Yeah, I don't install MOSFETs. That's kind of my limit.
Yeah.
I don't do anything. I hate teching.
No one can be as amazing a tech as me, I suppose, with my broken hop-ups and stuff. So.
With
Yeah.
your broken guns.
My millions of guns that have broken, and I've said fuck it and threw them away or sold them for parts.
That happens.
Yeah. But, okay, so let's talk about Far Cry.
Let's talk about Far Cry.
I think we should broaden that to, let's talk about Ubisoft's last couple of releases.
Yeah.
And why I'm never going to early purchase a game from Ubisoft ever again.
So,
Yeah.
see,
I technically didn't purchase it.
I didn't, yeah, like I said, like I was just about to say, I didn't purchase Unity. I got it free with my GTX 970.
Same story here for Far Cry 4.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ubisoft, but can you learn how to release a game, please?
Yeah, what happened to games working when they first came out? I mean, no launch is like out
no
of the
launch
gate
is
successful.
perfect, but
Yeah, but like textures disappearing in the game or the game not even unlocking for 24 hours after release.
I don't know what you're
It's like,
talking
what are
about.
they doing?
I feel like Assassin's Creed 2 and a lot of other games Ubisoft used to make were at least fully functional at release.
Well, that's the thing.
yeah,
I'm saying
that's
like
the
they
thing.
can't do that
we're
anymore.
saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it used to be fine, but it's like now a launch does not go by where something doesn't work.
Not Far Cry. Unity had severe issues. It still does have issues as far as I know. I haven't played in a few days, but
You want to know what the worst part about Unity is? There was a review embargo on Assassin's Creed Unity until 9 a.m. on the day it came out.
yes, and that's part of this. Ubisoft, we understand that you're probably wanting them to give you good reviews, and and you want the money, and you're putting out a bad game. Stop it. Just stop.
Yeah, you guys are talking about how like they wouldn't release review copies, right?
Yes.
Well, no. They
Yeah.
they
They
asked
didn't-
people who did receive review copies too. They asked them not to publish the game or not to publish the review until 9 a.m. on the day the game came out. So
Yeah,
there was
okay.
9 hours where people could go to midnight launches. People could preload the game from Steam. People could, buy it on Steam. People could go to their game shop before work or something.
Absolutely.
And there were 9 hours where people could buy this game sight unseen, basically, and not know that the reviewers were going to come out and say, this game is fucking broken.
Yes.
Yeah, and with Far Cry 4, they
Absolutely.
didn't even give out review copies, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's how
They-
you know a game's going to be amazing when it comes out, that they don't give out release
They didn't
review copies.
They didn't give anyone review copies. The reviewers had to get their copy the same time everyone else did.
Yeah, and that's like if you've had exclusive deals with like IGN and Kotaku and shit in the past, where you're gonna give them early access copies so they can review the game like the day before it comes out, and then you're gonna put out 2 games from your most popular IPs ever, Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, and you're not gonna give out the ability to review it before it comes out. That it's just
That
weird,
just
bad
screams
business
that
practices.
it's not
you know?
going to be good.
Yeah, it's like telling everybody don't expect a lot. And luckily, Far Cry 4, after the whole 24-hour after release bullshit happened with everybody who got their Nvidia copies, it wasn't running great for the first like couple hours it was out, but a patch came out and it fixed most of the stuttering and jittering issues. And now it runs great. Now I would say if you want Far Cry 4, go buy it. But it's just they just can't release a game properly anymore, and it's really disappointing, and it's scary for the Division. I am scared for the Division now, and I was really looking forward to that.
I'm absolutely looking forward to that game. But these last 2 games have put me weary about, I'm going to wait. I will not be buying it day of like I wanted to. I will not.
The problem
and
is
I
the problem
yeah.
is the games industry has undergone a shift where with how easy it is for major publishers to patch games now, they no longer sell games as completed products the day of release. They sell games as long-term services. And I've ranted about this before, but it goes for this too, because when you release a broken fucking game, you can excuse it, and your fanboys will excuse it by saying, oh, well, this game
It'll
is
be
a
fine.
service. It's not going to be
Yeah.
perfect at release. I
it'll
mean,
be
look at-
fine later. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah.
But when you're talking about a heavily single-player focused game, there is no fucking excuse, because a single-player game is like, honestly, I view it as like, let's say a movie came out on DVD, and for the first 6 months it was on DVD, you couldn't fucking play it, or you couldn't play it correctly. Like, what?
Or like it would just skip, like the disc was
Yeah,
scratched or something.
it would
Yeah.
stutter, skip.
And then after a few months, they go, oh, yeah, we realized that there's a problem with our product. Here's a free copy of the movie that actually runs properly, like after nobody gives a shit about it.
Yeah,
Battlefield. Dice.
a
Sorry.
lot of things.
Yeah.
So-
it's just...
You were wary to get back into Battlefield because Battlefield had such a terrible launch. I know.
Now, I
Rich and I have been
participated
playing.
in CTE, and CTE was good. They fixed Battlefield as far as I'm concerned. It's been so long, I uninstalled it. The game with all of its expansions is like 50 gigs. I don't have the space, the time, or the desire to reinstall it and play it. It's been too long. So that's just the way I view it now.
It sounds like you're just bad at the game and you're butthurt about it.
Apparently.
There is some of that.
And here comes Rich being the average YouTube commenter. Hold on, you forgot to mention that he's fat and gay.
Yep.
Game.
Those two.
And
The
likes
game
the
works
dick.
fine for me. I don't know what's wrong with you, scrub.
I agree.
Why aren't you the 1% of this game that works well?
Yeah, they
Yeah, I
implemented
mean,
all of
everyone's
the.
got- Everyone's got their
implemented
opinions about Battlefield, and it seems to work differently for everybody pretty much. It seems to work better now that the patch is out. It's just...
Well,
I
that's
have other
because
things I wanna
all
play.
that all that stuff you really like from CTE, they actually implemented into the actual game. So
yeah, I know.
everything-
That whole CTE project was to patch the full game and make
Yeah.
it work well. Yeah.
So, you being concerned about what the game plays like and stuff is moot, since you've already said you like the
Well,
CTE
It's
stuff.
not so much that I'm concerned about where the game is now, as that it's a lot of space on my hard drive to take up, it's a lot of time to download and install it, and I just don't care about it anymore. I mean, I
Yeah.
would rather play Payday 2 or Far Cry 4 or one of these other games that I'm working on now instead of Battlefield.
And I'm just
And
playing
when I had
modded
it-
Skyrim.
Yeah, or Skyrim, honestly. Like, when I did have Battlefield installed, the only reason I played it and the only reason I bought it is because one of my friends wanted to play it, and he was like, hey, I need more people to play this with. Will you get this? I said, sure. I bought it. We played it. I got mad for hours and hours and hours about how broken the game was and stuff, and it's just, I'm done with Battlefield. I won't be getting Battlefield 5. I'm done with the franchise. I don't care. So, it's over for me. The war has been lost by DICE.
Well, and I've made a policy now. I refuse to pre-order games.
Yeah,
I
oh,
will
hell yeah, I am done
absolutely
pre-ordering
not
games.
pre-order games.
Yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
done.
I haven't
pre-ordering.
pre-ordered a game with my own money since Alien Colonial Marines or Marine or whatever.
Well,
so
Yeah.
that
yeah,
should tell
that-
you.
That kind of probably killed it for you too.
Yeah,
That was really bad.
yeah, it was. I was very furious. I bought the collector's edition too,
Oh God.
the $90 one.
Oh
I'm
God.
sorry.
Why?
I'm really sorry for you.
Like
Yeah, the
I-
statue fell apart sitting on my desk.
like I am sending you hugs through the microphone.
Yeah,
It's just like
I'm
the
sorry.
thing started to fall apart, and I was like, look, I could glue this together and keep this memory of how bad this game is on my desk, or I could just throw it away. So I just threw it away.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, and I tried to sell Colonial Marine to GameStop, and they wanted to give me 50 cents for it.
Sounds about right.
So that sounds about what it's worth. But
I'm
whatever.
surprised they didn't ask you to pay them 50 cents to take it.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, hell, at that point, you're basically renting shelf space until someone takes pity on it and shoots it.
Pretty much.
Kind of like the Guitar Hero controllers, how they just stop taking those after a while.
Well, it's because so many people bought it that so many people had to trade it in.
Well,
They
you
got
know
tired
what
of it.
people, like, what drug addicts would do is they would go to Goodwill, they would find those guitars, they'd bring them to GameStop, get store credit, sell the store credit to people for money, and use that to buy drugs, or use the store credit to buy drugs from people.
Well,
That was a big thing in Seattle for a long time.
that's a pretty good plan.
It still happens with like Xbox 360 controllers, because you can get them for like $5 or $6 from a Goodwill, and then you can sell them to GameStop for like 10 or 15.
People do that here. They steal our games, and obviously it's for drug money because they're stealing the disc, the actual disc. They're not even taking the whole case.
Yeah, it's silly, but okay. So, Far Cry 4, 15 minutes Easter egg.
Yeah, so let's talk about something good about Far Cry 4 now.
Please. So when you first boot up Far Cry 4, there's a 10-minute unskippable cutscene that you have to watch. It gets you started in the game. In Far Cry 3, I don't think you could skip the stuff, but it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
You meet the main antagonist. He takes you back to his house. He sits you down for dinner. He gets a phone call, and he says, okay, hold on, I'll be back in a little bit. Gotta take this call. If you leave his house, you start the game proper. You go start shooting stuff, blowing stuff up, whatever. If you stay there for 15 minutes, he comes back, says, oh, wow, you're awesome. You waited. Okay, well, let's go do the main objective of the game so we can go shoot some guns. And then it's over.
Yeah.
So instead of 15 minutes, it's more like a 25-minute playthrough, so about half an hour. But
still.
it's
Still
just-
not like 30 hours worth of playthrough.
Yeah.
But you
and
accomplished what you went there to do,
Yeah,
and
it's
you get to
cool.
shoot some guns.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that they put that in. I don't think it's really cool that people are bitching about the game using that as a reference point, saying, oh, you can beat the game in 15 minutes. It's like, you can access an Easter egg in 15 minutes. That's not the real end of the game.
Yeah.
It's just, people will always try to find some way to
that's
bitch
the-
about
that's the thing that
something.
killed
and
me.
I
People-
absolutely...
Oh, sorry, continue.
Go ahead. I'm probably going to say the same thing you are.
Well, I was going to say, it kills me that people are bitching about that. It's like, so let me get this straight. A developer puts in a really nifty little thing that takes into account alternate choice you can make, and you know,
In
it's
a game that is entirely based on your choices.
Yeah, Far Cry 4 actually does have a lot more choices than Far Cry 3 did.
yeah.
But
So I don't understand what the complaint is. I think it's fucking awesome, and I think it
Yeah,
was a
it's
brilliant
really
marketing
cool.
strategy.
it's really cool. It's a good marketing strategy. It's an interesting end for the game that you can do right out the gate. It's not something you have to put hours and hours and hours of gameplay into just to see for shits and giggles. I think it's really cool that they put that in, and it's funny, but people gotta complain about something. People aren't happy unless they're bitching, so...
Yeah. And what I was saying about the marketing tool is because honestly, I hadn't really given Far Cry 4 too much thought. You know, I was like, maybe I'll pick it up at some point. Then I heard about that and I looked it up, and the game had a chance to get in front of me and show me, okay, so this is how the game looks, and this is Troy Baker's Pagan Min, and I really like Troy Baker. And then I'm like, and then they have this Easter egg, and that honestly improves my opinion of the game.
Yeah, what I really like about Far Cry 4 is, like, if Far Cry 3 was the magnum opus of the series, like, they put all the work into it they possibly could to make a dramatic, enthralling story, Far Cry 4 is, like, it's another Blood Dragon to me. It's, they saw the opportunity to make this absolutely ridiculous game, and they were like, let's do it. And I really like the game so far, because, like, something that I like and don't like about Pagan Min is that while he's portrayed as the main enemy and absolutely crazy and all this stuff, he doesn't come off as threatening to the player, because there is a point in the game where he calls you and he says, hey buddy, how's killing my guys going? I'm having a suit tailored for you when you're done and you decide to leave. It's like it feels like he's throwing guys at you not to kill you, but because he knows they can't kill you and he wants you to have fun. So to me, I like to kind of refer to Pagan Min as the embodiment of Ubisoft as a game developer in the game. Like they're saying, okay, well, here's the objective. I'm going to capture you here, and I have to capture you, but I'm not going to kill you. You can't escape this part, so I'll see you next time I catch you. That's like what all the scenes are that you have with Min.
It strikes me as very self-aware.
Yeah, it's really self-aware, like a Resident Evil 4 tier of self-aware, like more so, I'd say. And it's really cool, but at the same time, it's like it almost feels like you're wasting time playing the game because it's not like a real solid story. Well, yeah, of course, but like I mean, I look at video games like books and movies where you're experiencing them for a story. So I like there to be like a good point to the story and it's enthralling and everything. But when you throw an antagonist at me like Pagan Min, all I think is I am playing video games right now. I don't think I am in Kyrat helping the rebels defeat this fascist
But I'm
dictator.
reading into that a little bit differently. Now, maybe my inner English major is coming out, but if you take that attitude of Pagan Min into account with the alternate ending, and you use the alternate ending as a reference point for Pagan Min's character, then you actually find a very interesting, what I guess you would call it a... what the hell was I saying? Kind of an opposition to the idea of Pagan Min as the villain, because although the story tells you he's the villain, the gameplay indicates otherwise, because he is the enabler of all the fun you're having in the game. He acknowledges within the story that he's just enabling you to have fun, basically, and your reward for doing the ending with him is to go shoot some guns, and that's what he wants you to do. So it almost seems to me like Pagan Min is kind of a criticism, well, not a criticism, like almost a deconstruction of the traditional video game villain, where it's like, yeah, you know, there's video game villains, yeah, they're bastards or whatever, but they are the catalyst that allows you to have fun going through the game. And he almost kind of takes that concept to the extreme and demonstrates it literally.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he really comes across as, and especially when you compare him to villains from earlier in the series, like Voss from the last from the last game. Voss was a very two-dimensional person. It's like, I'm crazy, I lead the bad guys, come kill me. That's how he exists. But Pagan Min comes across more of like as a real person, like I was saying, a personification of the developer saying, hey, come do these things. But he comes across as like a person who's trying to help you through the story, as opposed to a bad guy who's there for you to kill and shake your fist at.
Well, and Far Cry has long had a kind of a history with that. Now, I would argue Far Cry 2 didn't do it as successfully, but Far Cry 2, you ended up aiding the villain in the end because the guy you were sent there to kill ended up not being that bad a guy.
Yeah.
You were worse than he was.
Mm-hmm. It was, yeah, Far Cry 2 was really weird. If you compare 2, 3, and 4 in order of like my favorites, I would probably put 3, 4, and then 2. It's just the actual story. It seems like they've kind of fleshed out how they wanted to write the story and tied the games together subtly instead of like really explicitly. So it just feels like they kind of settled into their niche and they know how they're going to do it from now on.
Mm-hmm.
So now a big complaint about the game is that it's basically Far Cry 3 again. The story is almost exactly Far Cry 3. You're an American tourist, you went to a country, there's a civil war, there's a bad guy, you help the rebels beat the bad guy. That's
including the outposts and radio towers of Far Cry 3.
Yes, almost all the missions are the same. There's assassination missions, there's hunting missions, there's convoy missions. It's all almost exactly the same. Now, I like how they pulled it off. It's fun to play, but if you've played Far Cry 3, you will have no problem with Far Cry 4. No problem learning anything. The only thing that's really different in Far Cry 4 is some of the menus.
Yeah. So there's definitely some concern there.
And I mean, you guys have heard me say this. Like, I really love Far Cry 4. I think it's really good. I really liked Far Cry 3. So I'm looking at this, comparing it to new games where they try to change up the subsystems and they end up fucking everything up. I don't mind that stuff's all the same. I liked it. But one of the concerns that Rich had with it was he didn't want to play Far Cry 4 if it was just Far Cry 3 again. That's what he was asking me about kind of early on.
I thought Far Cry 3 was boring.
Yeah, and you know, obviously Far Cry 3, it's not for everybody. And that being said, Far Cry 4 is not for everybody, but it's just, I don't mind it being so similar, but I know some people do. So
Yeah, I can put up with that too, as long as it's well made, it's fun, and it's still fresh enough that I'm not just retreading it. Call of Duty. What?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's pretty much how I think about it.
So, yeah. Now that begs the question, though, regarding the Far Cry 4 Easter egg awesomeness that spawned this discussion. What is your personal favorite? And I guess this will kind of be our last hurrah for this one. What is your personal favorite video game Easter egg of all time?
Food nipple grunt from Halo 1.
What?
What?
The food nipple grunt from Halo 1 on the last level. You go off the beaten path and you find this grunt who's like, "Oh, I can't wait to go home to the food nipple. This sucks."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's amazing. It's like
I remember that.
My favorite one. I love those hidden dialogue Easter eggs. Halo 3 had some like that too, where they had red versus blue references.
All of them have since 3, I think. Every single one of them
Yeah.
has a red versus blue Easter egg of some
Yeah.
sort.
I remember like
Halo
the
4
first...
had alternate dialogue, actual dialogue. You turned on a skull.
Halo
and
3 had that too.
Yeah.
It's the "I would have been your daddy" skull. So, but yeah, that's my favorite. What about you guys?
For me, it would have to be any and all conspiracy theories from the Grand Theft Auto universes.
Like the
Like,
UFO and
yeah, the
GTA
Mount
5
Chiliad
and
stuff.
Yeah, Sasquatch, the Illuminati, all that stuff is really fun to read about.
Mhm. Yeah.
What about you,
What about you,
Rick?
Ehas?
Or I was going to ask
I'm
Rick
asking
first.
you. I'm
All right.
asking you.
My personal favorite has to be Metal Gear Solid 3 when you can kill the end before his boss fight.
Yeah, you snipe him across a lake, don't you?
Yeah, so at one point in the game, you are a whole, Hideo Kojima cutscene plays out, and the end is wheelchair bound. He's like the father of sniping, really weird, like Metal Gear usually is, and he's getting wheeled back into this building after this cutscene, and he's asleep, and he's waiting to wake up and fight you, and as he's getting wheeled back into the building, you can pull out your sniper rifle and shoot him, and he dies and explodes. And then later on in the game, you don't have to fight him. Instead, there's a bunch of Ocelot unit soldiers there, and you fight them instead.
Yeah,
Or
I think
sneak
stuff
around
like
them,
that
either way.
I think stuff like that in games is pretty cool when they give you the option to catch an enemy when he's vulnerable and doesn't know you're there before you have to fight him.
Yep. Like every time I go through a dungeon in Skyrim playing as a stealth archer, supposed to be a big boss fight. Pfft, bitch.
Yeah, bullshit. While stealthing, shoot him in the head for 4 times damage. So, Rick.
See, I don't play games to find Easter eggs. So, I don't think I've ever really found any Easter eggs.
Oh, come on. We've all run into an Easter egg or an alternate thing that shouldn't have happened. Like, come on.
Mm-mm.
Really?
I don't think I've ever really done that.
Bullshit.
Oh, man.
Have you ever done something to kind of break or exploit a game? Come on, something.
Exploiting a game is not an Easter egg.
Well, okay,
Yeah,
but
that's a glitch.
okay,
but,
now, break a game in a way where something that you weren't supposed to do, you did, and maybe the game acknowledged it.
something that breaks that you did unintentionally and the game did intentionally.
Yeah, I've got nothing. I really
You're
don't
fucking
look
amateur.
I don't look for Easter eggs. I don't care.
Well, then I'm
They're
gonna
cool and
steal
all.
your spot for another one.
Good.
And I just ran into the Headless Horseman in Skyrim totally by accident.
That's not an Easter egg. That's a mission.
No, it's not.
He is tied to a mission.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
I've
There's a
never,
mission
I've
with it.
never run into
I
that
won't-
mission.
I
I'll
won't
take that
spoil
back.
it for you now, but
My
you'll find
favorite,
out.
I guess my favorite Easter egg I have run into would be the Minecraft one in Borderlands 2.
Yeah, that was. a
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good
that's
one.
pretty sweet.
That one wasn't very well hidden though.
It wasn't very well hidden, but I like that they acknowledged it.
Yeah,
I-
and then
I-
you got
Borderlands-
the Minecraft head for your character and stuff.
Yeah, you get the Minecraft head and the skin.
Mhm.
Minecraft, or not Minecraft, Borderlands was just full of Easter eggs and pop culture references. I think that's why I like that game so much.
Yeah, it kind of used pop culture references and Easter eggs and stuff as like a crutch when shit was getting slow.
Yeah.
So, which isn't a bad thing. I
No.
liked it.
I mean, it could be if you don't like that stuff, but if you like
Yeah.
it, then fucking whatever.
And who doesn't?
I mean,
like
I'm
that
not
stuff?
about to say like, oh, Borderlands 2 is crap. I have like 192 hours in it in
Yeah.
Steam. So,
Well, that's the thing with me. With you mentioned the Headless Horseman mission. I put like 200 hours into Skyrim on the Xbox, and now I'm putting some hours into it on PC, and I've never run into that mission.
on console and PC, I have put more than 300 hours of game time into it combined, and I still find new missions every time I try to play.
I fucking love Skyrim.
It's just tons and tons of stuff.
As much
So-
as I like those kind of games, I've stopped buying them because I don't finish them. It took me 3 years to finish Saints Row 3.
Yeah, I mean, I
So,
like games
as
that
much
do
as
that
I
personally,
want to
but-
buy Skyrim, I won't because I know I will never finish it.
Do you just not like having that much content there?
No, I have game ADHD when it comes to those. I start doing free roam stuff during and after missions, and when I do that, I just start going and doing something else, and I forget what I was doing.
Yeah, open world games like Skyrim and Saints Row and Far Cry even.
GTA, and I still haven't finished
Yeah.
Far Cry 3.
Yeah, it's like you have to kind of develop a method for like what
You have-
missions you're going to do
you
first.
really-
Because in Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 3, what you want to do first is you want to get all the radio towers so you unlock all the free
Oh, yeah,
guns.
that's what I did.
Then you're going to, get all the outposts so you have all the fast travel stations. And then you're going to get all the treasure. You're going to get all the hunting missions so you can max out your wallets, just all this kind of stuff. You want to prioritize each one of those. It's the same thing for Skyrim and any open world game. But if you're like what you said, like you have gaming ADHD and stuff like that, it's really hard to organize stuff like that. So I can see how an open world game with so many options in that way would get kind of frustrating or annoying after a while.
My
So
first
it's
priority
Well,
with
it just
Skyrim
becomes
on
a-
PC was getting a Karambit, and we all know how that worked out.
Yeah. Is Mem still working on that?
God, I hope so. All right.
Well, he said he wants to learn how to do it, so guess I'll see your Karambit in a few months.
Yeah,
So we're out of topics, guys. We actually did it this time.
I think we're out of time too.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we are. We're right at a minute and 33, minute 34.
You mean an hour and 33?
Hour.
Yeah,
I
We've only
think
been
this has been a
talking
lot
for a minute.
longer than a minute.
It's just been so long. My concept of time is ruined.
All right.
E-House, you want to take us out?
Traditional ending, E-House.
Peace, bitches. I'm off to the land of Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Dovahkiin.